Welcome to PreciousMetalsInvesting.com. My name is Ted Sudol, and I have the pleasure of having as my guest today Paul Majenovic. Paul is the author of Precious Metals Investing for Dummies. He also has his own website, TheRavenCapitalist.com. Welcome, Paul.
Good to be back as a guest, Ted. And occasionally we like to respond to viewer emails, basically. And I got here a question that just came in from one of our viewers out there, Sergey from Bratislava. I think he might be a regular. But anyway, he writes the following. He goes, yeah, Ted, seems like you have on Paul very frequently as a guest. Can't you find anybody better? And secondly, joking aside, I had spoken to my financial planner about precious metals in my portfolio, and he generally seemed to poo-poo that. Any thoughts or suggestions on this? All right? Well, let's, first of all, on the first one, don't worry. Ted will be getting a better class of guests soon enough. I think we might be having some, he'll announce it in due course, okay? And by the way, for everybody else out there, don't be shy about sending in any questions via email. I'm sure Ted will make it available at the site. And yes, I am a guest, all right? And this is his program. And he will have, better guests on down the road. Anyway, that point you just mentioned about conventional financial planners or financial advisors who have been poo-pooing precious metals. Some of them are very bearish, some of them are very hostile on it, And I think bottom line is, yes, for those of you who've seen me on my own videos, etc., I've been very bullish, on metals going back a number of years. I'm not a gold or silver bull per se. In other words, I'm not a permanent bull on this. During the 80s and 90s, if you ever took in my seminars back then, I talked very little about gold and silver because I think many of the dynamics there were not in favor of it. I don't think that any financial advisor should be pro or con any class of investment per se based on their personal feelings or whatever. And I also know that a lot of financial advisors out there, they it also depends on how they get schooled. Because if a lot of them came from like some of the schools on the Northeast, for example, there's a great deal of bias towards things like a Keynesian point of view, on economics. And a lot of conventional investment advice or conventional investment strategies are fine if you have conventional times. But you need to, look, you can't be tied to the umbrella if you're heading into the summer times. You know what I mean? And you can't be tied to your bathing suit if you're heading towards winter times. You need, just like in anything else, your strategies, the investment vehicles, that you have to look for suitability for what is happening now and or what kind of mega trends or conditions are coming.
Right.
And
I think a lot of financial advisors fall in love with their own story, and then they just keep repeating their own story no matter what the times are really telling you, if you're willing to listen to them.
Right now, as we speak, it's 2012. It's an election year, and I think that the conditions in the economy, worldwide and in our national scene, in terms of currency production, potential crises, and a half a dozen other potential things, on the radar screen. Everything from like possibly resource wars, or wars over oil in the Middle East, conflicts elsewhere. Being diversified and not being exposed to some of these venues are very important. So, to me, look, maybe 5 years from now, I'm going to be very bearish on gold, or bearish on silver, or bearish on commodities. But whenever you see, many times what are long-term trends that are intact, and in some cases even accelerating, you want to be with the things that are going to keep us zigzagging upward, and avoiding the things that are going to be zigzagging downward. Mm-hmm. And precious metals, they're in the midst of a long-term bull market, so there's no reason for me to stop it just because it's not a popular thing to say. We don't talk about these things because of popularity, or because that's what my college professor told me, or because of this, financial textbook, that was written 5 and 10 years ago, right, that has no idea about what's going on real time today and what is, in the wings waiting in the months and years ahead.
Exactly. And another thing people have to realize is that, a lot of advisors have an interest in the outcome of their advice, a financial interest in the outcome of their advice. And also, it's for them, it's safer to be with the crowd. But in general, investment strategies have proven over time that if you're in with the crowd, you're probably not going to make money.
Exactly. So you have to be diversified even away from those things because it's a form of hedging. I think it adds a measure of safety, which I think is very important. I mean, as a matter of fact, it's quite interesting that even though I'm a certified financial planner and I teach about investing and I help people in these venues, I even tell them to even diversify away from even things that I might like. I mean, and I do as well, because the thing is that about the bullion coins, bullion, gold and silver bullion, you know, you're actually diversifying away not only from, you know, things like, you know, currency problems and counterparty risk and a whole host of other things. You're also diversifying away from whatever mistakes or whatever could be done by all sorts of things, whether it's policy mistakes at the federal level, mistakes by money managers, mutual fund managers, or whatever. You got to be diversified away from it. And now is not the time to look at this stuff from a personal or emotional point of view. You got to say, what is the real world strategies and vehicles that you need, given today's problems and unfolding crises that are coming.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul, for being with us here today at PreciousMetals.com. My name is Ted Sudol, and make sure you visit Paul's website, TheRavenCapitalist.com.
And Sergey, keep your eyes open on the road. They will be better guests, I'm hoping.
Thank you.